Hi, very good morning to you. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Before we begin, I want to just tell you that this is not about the Ukraine war, this video. We're just going to briefly talk about this. There's a couple of things in this video that I want to do today, which will bring home, hopefully, to all of us, a big problem that we're all facing. Now, before we begin, as always, I just want to say a huge thank you to all those people that have been supporting us over the last couple of days. And you know, the majority of the times we are looking at the magnetic pole reversal. That's our prime focus, but we do focus on other anomalies that are taking place, which are actually right now taking place. And a little bit later on in this video, I'm going to show you something very, very shocking, a new discovery which I've recently made, and I want your opinions on that. So there is going to be something really juicy in a few moments. But before we do, I just want to briefly talk about this guy that we're looking at. I think he is a member of the Azov battalion, currently held up at the moment in the steelworks, along with his comrades, that are fighting alongside him. And he made a plea, I believe, on Facebook yesterday for the world to help him, because he is trapped. He has 500 soldiers in this basement at the steelworks in Mariupol who are injured. Some of them are rotting, literally. And there has been a lot of civilians that have taken up refuge in the shelters that the Azov battalion, these soldiers, where they're held up. They are taking refuge there in the basement so that they can be out of harm's way to a certain degree. So there are many people there. He's, I believe, the commander of this army, and he asked the rest of the world yesterday to help him, because he may have a couple of days, or it may even be hours, because he's outnumbered now 10-1. And it is just a matter of time. He's running out of weapons, ammunition, supplies, medical supplies, food supplies, and at the same time now he's been joined with a lot of civilians. Probably only a matter of hours before, him and the rest of them that are along with him in this basement may end up looking like some of the other atrocities that we've seen take place in Ukraine. And you're probably thinking, well, we can't do nothing as individuals, so there's not a lot we can do about it. But that's just the point. That's what has happened to us now, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. But there is something, a discovery I've made, that I want to bring to your attention a little bit later on. But I want to talk more about this attitude, because it is a real attitude that we are going to face at some point. And if we all keep turning our backs to similar situations, it's not just this one, I'll give you a very good one, another example of this. I think you'll agree with me that the only thing that we can do right now, and it's not really a lot, is just pray for them. Pray for them to, have a better outcome than what they're faced with right now, and pray that war in Ukraine comes to a rapid end. I just want to talk about another subject that I was discussing with my wife this morning before she was going to work. She was telling me that, she works in obviously, you guys don't know this, but I'll tell you, she works in a pharmacy, a drug dispensing shop, and they sell a lot of other things in that shop. Every day now, it is common for shoplifters to come in and blatantly in front of them, open their backpack and fill it with stuff and just walk out. My wife's been told not to, try and stop them herself, but just call the police. And the police don't really do anything about it, because in a lot of cases, like my wife knows at this point in time, this particular person that comes in every day, stuffing his backpack with all the goods he wants and just walking out, has probably got mental problems related probably from excessive solvent abuse or drugs or alcohol or something like that. But that's not an excuse for people to behave like that. But we're seeing this on the increase. The main thing is that she really can't do anything about it, so she tends not to. She can only tell him to put it back, but he doesn't listen, and he knows he'll get away with it in any case. But I wanted to try a thought experiment with my wife. I says, well, what about in another scenario? There was a woman outside our house, and she was being attacked by a guy that looked like he was going to kill her. She says, oh, I'll definitely lean out the window and scream at him, try and get him to stop, and I'd phone the police. I said, but what about, the response time of the police? In that time you'd managed to kill her. You wouldn't have effectively helped her in any way. Because, again, I suppose, like the scenario in the shop where you're not allowed to, stop the offender stealing the stuff because he might pull out a screwdriver or a knife or another weapon and attack you with it. It might be the same scenario for that woman that's being attacked by that guy outside. So the point is that we are, as a species, desensitising ourselves to these things that we are all seeing. We're happy to be distracted by pacifications or a promise to resolve issues, only for them never to be resolved. But because we are happy at the moment that we're going to get a resolution to some of these problems, at that point we seem to be pacified with that. And the more we see as well, the more desensitisation we get. So again, with my wife, I wanted to do a little scenario where there was a crowd of people all kicking the front door of our home in because they are aware that there's a few tins of food in the house and they're starving and they're prepared now to attack us. I said, how would you feel at that point, knowing that you are going to be overpowered? You may even well be at that point killed, and they are going to get what they want. It's the scenario here is exactly a similar scenario to what's happening to that commander in Maripol right now, knowing that he's surrounded. His wounded soldiers, comrades, and the civilians around him are all vulnerable, and he's asking the world for help, but the world doesn't want to help because of the repercussions that might happen. It doesn't matter what scale you look at it, is a human condition. And I don't think that this attitude of humanity was always like this. I think this is just something recent that we've allowed ourselves to condition ourselves with. Before we move on to what I've discovered, just to summarise this thing, we're on a train track and the train's coming towards us. We know what will be the effects if we stay on the track. We're going to get hit by the train. Eventually it will move closer and closer to us. If you do not move off the track, it's a failing to act, and it's no different to failing to act when somebody is stealing stuff out of the shops, or somebody is attacking somebody in the street, or somebody is kicking your front door down. If you fail to act, then that is the same as staying on the train track. If we fail to act and support Ukraine, Putin is going to massacre more tens of thousands of people over the coming weeks, and we're going to see that happen. I know a lot of you think, well, what is in our power to? What can we do? It's just, I think it's a bad attitude to have. I think the only way to address problems is proactively do something about it, like moving off the track when the train is coming towards us. We can't just say to ourselves, well, the train's going to hit us anyhow. That's no way to resolve that problem. Okay, I said I discovered something. You're going to do a little bit of work here as well. I'm not going to give you everything. I think you've got to engage your brains more now, so that you start to see what we are facing. Right, this is just something that I have been dealing with over the last couple of weeks. But I want to just explain now. First of all, this information comes from the government, the British government's ONS report, or the Office for National Statistics. So you can check it. This is verifiable yourselves, but if you just take my word for it, that's fine. But here in the UK, first of all, as well, this is not just a problem related to the UK. You'd be very naive if you think that that is the case. This is repeated in the United States, Australia, all over Europe, everywhere on this globe. This is just a scale of what is happening everywhere. Right, so let's get into it. We've got 28 million homes here in the UK. I've highlighted it there, 28.3, but let's round it up for simplicity's sake of all this. 28 million homes here in the UK. Now, what I discovered was something quite shocking. Let me just get into this. Right, 28 million homes. I had a utility bill the other day. It said that I'd used in the year 300 kilowatts on the evening or after 12 o'clock, and then in the daytime I'd used a further 2,500 kilowatts. So I'm using a hell lot more electricity in the daytime than I am in the night, and that's not a good thing for me or others, because you know the electricity is half the price after 12 o'clock. We should be using more electricity on the night time than we are in the day, but because of our lifestyles, it's not always possible to do that. But I'll tell you one thing I have been doing a lot more lately, is switching the machines, like the dishwasher and the washing machine, on their timing programs, so that we can have them cut in on the night and do the washing for half the price. Big point here to remember: if you get those kilowatts that I use in a year, it totals to 2,800 kilowatts. And you know, off the top of my head, I did do some calculations. I think I'm using around about 10 kilowatts in a 24-hour period. Why is all this important? Right, because this, what I'm about to show you, doesn't add up, and it doesn't just not add up a little bit, it doesn't add up a lot, guys. I'm going to show you what I've discovered. So I would say, on average, let's be argumentative here. Let's say, okay, I probably use less, and I don't think, you know, until recently that I was energy conscious. So you know, I was the person that was leaving lights on that didn't need to be left on in the house. You know, I was not energy conscious like I am perhaps a little bit more so now. So, but I would say, for argument's sake, I probably don't use as much as other households. Those households with electric cars obviously consume a lot more than me, but that's not the issue here. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that the 20 million or the 28 million homes in the UK use double what I use. Yeah? Now let's go and have a look at some figures. So just to simplify things, and so we can see what the figures look like in front of us, I've written it down for us. So 28 million homes, each use 20 kilowatts. Remember I said that was double what my annual consumption was, but we'll just call it 20 kilowatts, so we're being more than generous. In a 24-hour, how much is this when you times that by 28 million homes? Well, I've done the sums there for us. 28 million homes times 20 kilowatts equals 560 million kilowatts, or just over half a gigawatt. And if you're wondering how many zeros are in 1 gigawatt, I've put it there for you. You can see there's 9 zeros after the initial one, so that's what 1 gigawatt looks like. So the total domestic use of electricity here in the UK is 0.56 gigawatts. Here's what I want to show you now. Okay, so again, we're looking at the national grid live status. This is how much the United Kingdom produces and where it gets that energy from. You can see fossil fuels at the moment are at 55.5%, you know, producing mainly from gas combined cycles, 15.91 gigawatts. Again, renewables 21%, and then there's other like nuclear and pumped storage, biomass, 32%. Look at the pie chart over the other side of this chart. Look what I'm pointing out with the arrows. Remember, domestic consumption was just over half a gigawatt. Do you see now what I've pointed out to you? Do you see what's been revealed in this video? The demand at the current time is 28.8 gigawatts. Remember, the domestic demand is half a gigawatt. The actual generation is in the lower arrowed area, 31.5 gigawatts. That's 31 times more electricity being generated than the domestic use in a 24-hour period. And I know what some of you are going to think, but it's not the point. You know, the point is not whether that is commercial electricity needed to be generated for the factories and things like that in the UK, because I don't believe that the commercial industry would use 31 gigawatts in any case. The point is this, guys. The point is this. The domestic market uses half a gigawatt. And the sad thing about that is that here in the UK, we have just watched our electricity double in price. And what that means for people is they choose whether they're going to heat their homes right now or they're going to starve to death. They either buy electricity or they buy food. This is one of the 5th richest countries in the world, and this is happening. This is a disgrace. What I've just discovered and pointed out here to you should make you furious, because this is not just something related to the United Kingdom. This is related to everywhere in the world. We are being ripped off cleanly. The domestic users are paying for the commercial electricity, and I don't believe, first of all, that the commercial use of electricity is 31 gigawatts. I don't believe that for 1 minute. As a scientist, I do not believe that. But there's a more important fact here. Throughout the whole of Europe, for the last 8 years, they've been banging on reducing CO2. They've been telling us, domestic people that purchase that electricity, to cut back on the power of our vacuum cleaners. Can you believe it? Do you understand what I'm trying to point out here, guys? They're telling us they need to produce 60 times more power than the domestic current usage in a 24-hour period of time. Just like is being generated by solar photovoltaic cells, solar powers. 3 times more than the domestic consumption. Look at how much wind powered generation is being created. 8 times more than the domestic consumption. And because of this, we have to pay 50% more. I just don't believe what we're seeing. I just don't believe the justification for an increase in 50% of the electricity. But you know what, guys? It's like everything else. You've been told a secret of the energy market now. You know, what I've divulged in this video, you know, that I believe they would find extremely offensive. Because this is not spelled out clearly to the average individual like I've done it in this video. But, you know, people will be killed in the Ukraine war. People will put up with having their things stolen. People will be attacked for little things. And what do we do each time we see these things happen? We pacify ourselves because we're promised that things will change and get better. So that seems to be good enough for us. You know, you should be appalled by what the energy sector's doing and getting away with. And there's another more interesting fact here, right? If we consume 60% less than is being generated, what does that say about global warming being caused by mankind? What does that say? For, you know, the amount of CO2 that we actually use is minuscule. I've proved that anyhow in other videos that I've done. We do not affect our atmosphere in a way that it drives the climate higher through emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. Like I said earlier on in this video, these numbers don't add up. There's something completely wrong with this. We use just we use half a gigawatt in power, and our bills go up 50% when they produce 30 times more that. Look, all these figures are in gigawatts. I've done the math for you. You can see this isn't conspiracy. This is using, the government statistics. This isn't just happening here in the UK. It's happening in America. There is shoplifting going on as well in America because people can't afford to maintain their life, have a living. This is happening in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the whole of Europe. This is happening all over the world. We need to get off the track because a train is coming. We need to act. If you got something out of the video and you want to help support what we do at this observatory, there's a link down there, but I guarantee you more than 99% of the people, more than 99.9% of the people will just completely ignore that link to support. And I know that, just like I know the world in which we are rapidly merging into. It's a world that doesn't care about anyone else. I'll say this as well. Remember, in them scenarios that started out at the beginning of this video, what happens when there's a crowd at your door and they want your 4 tins of food. Just remember that. Guys, hopefully you got something out of the video. I'll say what I usually do. As always, bye for now.